Greetings, I'm Logan, the G.I. Joe Gamer, and tonight I'm taking a look at Crimson Guard from the Hildt. G.I. Joe takes number 50. So before I get into it, turn this music down just a little bit. I'm going to treat this as if I was doing it live like I normally do, but circumstances cannot allow for that this month. So here we are doing it as a recording, but I'm going to still do it from the Hildt. This is part of Cobra Convergence 8, and this is my entry for this event this year. Now, this was started by Hooded Cobra Commander 788. If you check the schedule, it's hcc788.com for the month of July. Now, also, I'm doing a file card codename video all throughout the month, every day for Cobra, and then next month I'm doing it for G.I. Joe as well for part of my G.I. Joe Gold Bricks, which will continue from this Cobra Convergence. As far as I'm concerned, I like to do that. I like to go from Cobra Convergence into my G.I. Joe Gold Bricks. Now, before I jump into the actual Crimson Guard take, I do have to say a word for ACC788, who did this for 10 years, and he did so many G.I. Joe reviews, so many fantastic G.I. Joe reviews. We all tried to emulate him. He is the best at what he did, and we appreciate and honor his contribution to the G.I. Joe community. And I thank you, sir, and happy retirement, and I appreciate all that you did and have done and probably will do in the future for other projects, and look forward to seeing you again in the future, I hope. But if we don't, thank you for your G.I. Joe contribution. He is the founder of Cobra Convergence 8, and I wanted to just make a note about him retiring this year. So let me jump right into it. So to start off, like we normally do, we take a look at the vintage figure. Here is probably my Crimson Guard that's in the best shape. I have 3 of these actually, and I will be playing a video here in a while showing you all of my various Crimson Guard figures. He has the backpack and his signature gun with the bayonet. Let's see, we take a decent look at that. There we go. Right across my forehead so you can get a better look at it. Good thing I don't have a 6 head, but a 5 head will work, right? All right, so there we go. That's the Crimson Guard. Very cool figure, and I will compare this in a little while to the classified version. Now, we also have from the vintage era the Crimson Guard Immortal. Now, I have a dedicated video to Tomax and Zaymont, and one dedicated to Overlord, who will appear in the images at the end, because I consider him part of the Crimson Guard. And if you want to know my reasons for that, either watch the codename Overlord video or the actual G.I. Joe Short Takes 4, which featured Overlord at the beginning. Now, the Crimson Guard Immortal was a nice update to the Crimson Guard. I just considered this version 2. But even Yojo.com considers the Crimson Guard Immortal its own figure, and the only one they ever made as far as I know. They may have reused the mold, but I don't think they reused the name Crimson Guard Immortal. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they didn't. Now, the backpack here, you can actually take these missiles out that are flick and fire style missiles, and you can slide them right into the backpack, and it'll store 3 missiles, and that's all. Let's see, it goes in that way. Okay, that's all that they have. Now, originally they came with 6. Now, I used these for various things growing up as a young man, playing my various adventures. I used them as clubs, I used them as missiles, I used them as all sorts of things, swords, what have you. Now, what I thought was cool is it had an attachment of a belt of bullets, and I thought that was really cool, bandolier bullets. And had a machine gun and 3 missile launchers, missile launcher with the machine gun, and then they got the missile launcher which fires 2 missiles. Now, I originally had thought that this belt of bullets actually attached to the backpack when I was looking at these tonight, but I remembered that it attaches to the side of the figure and to the gun. So that's pretty cool. And it's supposed to actually go so you have more room. Flip this upside down, and supposed to go like that so that it can feed the bullets and they're not hanging out of the way. So there's my Crimson Guard Immortal. I have 7 of these all together, which I will show off in the video. And I don't think they're ever going to make a classified version of that figure. I think all we're going to ever get is the Crimson Guard, which I'm fine with. But they're doing a lot with the Crimson Guard and the classified, which we'll get into. I have quite a few classified Crimson Guard figures. Now, Tomax and Xamot came with the Crimson Command Copter, which is right here. And I did want to take a quick look at this. Now, they had a Night Attack Copter and a Desert Attack Copter that were identical for the Joe team. I am missing one of these rotors in my storage area somewhere. It's been a while, so I don't know exactly where that went. But this is a really, really cool helicopter. Now, it seats 3, so I always thought it should have come with a 3rd dude. If it had Tomax and Xamot in there, they should have come with a pilot, possibly Wild Weasel. It also has 2 seats in the back there that you can get a couple of figures into. I don't know if you can really see them. You have 2 seats right here, and then in the back, let's see, they had to knock something over in the Joe takes, right? Let's see if I can pop this up. Now, like I said, these older vehicles are kind of fragile sometimes, so you got to be careful with them. There is a, see if I can get this trigger at the bottom. It's got a trigger. I can pop these up without firing the missiles, and I did. And the wings pop open like that with the trigger. And if you pull the trigger again, it will fire the missiles, and I don't want to do that. But there is a sliding door on the side of this figure, and I don't know if we can get a good look at it, but it slides. It's black, and it slides back and forth. And there is room for other figures in there, and I keep knocking my drink over. I don't know why. Because it's just Joe takes, and that's what we do. Okay, now it's not a very big area in there, but there is room on both sides, and there is a door on both sides, which is pretty cool. I always thought. So you can get a figure any side. So technically, you could fit 5 figures in here, and then you could also naturally, they have pegs to put them on the sides here, and you could get 2 more figures on each side. So that'd be a total of 9 figures you could actually have coming up on you with the Crimson Command Copter or the Night Attack. I have the Night Attack one. I don't have the Desert one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually really, really enjoy this helicopter. I think I like the Night Attack version better because it's green camo and it's really cool. But it came with the Tomax and Xamot as its pilots, which was very interesting. Now, the only difference between the two is naturally that when you take off the helmet, Xamot has the scar. And I don't know if you can see that there, but let me see if I can. Let's see if we can get it focused, and you can actually see the scar right there on the side of his face. Not very well, but you got Tomax and you got Xamot as the pilots. And these were pretty cool figures, and I think they reused this mold one time and made these guys blue and had them like in their suit, their business suits, which was pretty cool. But then they also had they came out with their business suits. Now that's going to take me to my carded figures. I've always considered the Hildt driver, the original Crimson Guard. I do have a vintage Hildt driver, but I've already shown that off in several videos. And it will be in the video at the end, so I don't really need to go into that one again. But there's this file card if you want to pause it and take a look. I can get a really clear shot of that. Looks like I can. That's the Cobra Hildt driver. Then, of course, naturally, I have. I cannot knock it. I got lots of things over here, so be careful not to knock anything over. This is the 25th anniversary figures, the Hildt driver, and this is the only carded example of the Hildt driver that I know of. But this is the 25th anniversary Crimson Guardsman. Comes with the pistol, which should have been a shotgun. I don't know why it wasn't. A later release did come with a shotgun, which was kind of cool. And I love how they painted the bayonet silver. And I do have this version of the Crimson Guard out. I think I have 5 of them. but I keep one in the card. And then, of course, I have the Python Crimson Guard, which I don't know what happened to my Python Crimson Guard, the vintage version. I have one, but it's in my stuff somewhere. It could be anywhere. It could be in a vehicle somewhere, probably. That's most likely thing. All right, so let me set those aside, and we'll take a look at these here classified boxes. And of course, we have Tomax and Zaymont. Now, I'm not going to show you all of these figures, but I will show you this. I wanted to show this particular set of boxes because if you put the boxes together, it forms that Cobra symbol and the two Crimson twins standing back to back, which I always thought was really cool. And then, of course, they're numbers 44 and 45 in the series. And like I said, they have their own dedicated video of Joe Takes, so check that out. I think it's Joe Takes 21. Right after Duke, I think, on Duke's number 20. Then, of course, you have the number 50, which is the Crimson Guardsman. Now, I did show these in the package on the Tomax and Zaymont video, and this artwork is pretty cool, and I like how it wraps around there. And there we go. And on my promo for this, I do have. It's not going to be in the video I'm showing you here because I'm just showing you the bare bones video. Get these out of the way so I can show you some others over here. I had a lot going on this month, so naturally Cobra Convergence comes up and everything in the world has to take my time, but that's life. I have a Crimson Viper for the classified series, and Crimson Viper is number 85 in the series and has pretty cool artwork. Now, some of the backs of these boxes, they show the figure and all the accessories, which I thought was cool. But I also like the fact that they show the accessories on the front. Now, with the window packaging, you can see all the accessories in them, so they didn't need to do that. I thought that was a neat addition for the classified when they didn't do the window packaging. I do think they should still do the foot lockers for the accessories, which once they went back to window packaging, they stopped doing foot lockers as well. And that's no good. This is the Crimson Alley Viper. Alley Viper is my favorite Viper, so I thought this was a cool addition to the Crimson Guard team. So there's that box. Oh, he's number 91 in the series, and there's the side of the box. And back if you want to see it. And the sides, these other sides on these ones are kind of plain Jane, but that's okay. Now there is a box inside that has a really cool black and white version of the color pick on that, and when I do a dedicated video for a character, I do show that. Now, some of these blue boxes didn't have that, but there was a Crimson Bat, which I think was the first in the series to go Crimson, as it were. It's number 60 in the series, 10 after the original Crimson Guard. Yeah, the Tomax and Zaymont actually came out first. That's 45 and 46, but there's the really cool artwork for the Crimson Bat, which I think is a great pick, and it just kind of wraps around to the side like that. I think that's really cool. And then, of course, you have the back, the figure, and all the accessories. Okay, I'll knock over one more. The Python Crimson Guard, which at the moment I'm pretty sure that completes my Crimson Guard collection, -3, which I do have, and I'll show you in a bit, but I was going to show them separately and together with their box because it's a really cool set. Now, the back, of course, you have the Crimson Guard and his accessories. And the Python Crimson Guard was the number 66 in the series. And then it had really cool box art. Pretty much the same art, just Pythonized. And it did wrap around the side like the other one, which was pretty awesome. Okay, so let me move some of this stuff around a little bit so that I can show you this. This is the sleeve for the Crimson Strike team, and it just slides right over the main box. And there's really, it looks like does look like a briefcase, which I thought was really cool. Of course, you have the bottom with the information on it, but that takes us to the actual box itself that the sleeve protects. Now, what I thought was cool was it looked like a briefcase too, and it opens like one. And I thought this was really cool. It looks like a bunch of gold bars in there with some readout and a computer on the back, and even a little bit of chuckles in there. And of course, it's got designs for a Crimson Bat in there and a file for the Crimson Bat, which I thought was neat. And also, you look inside, there is a spot for the Crimson Twins and the third member of the strike team, which as soon as I show off all the figures, I will show you. But I thought this box was really cool and warranted showing as part of the Crimson Guard, especially in this Joe Takes 50. I wanted to make a little extra special because it's the 50th episode of the series. We'll put these back over here, and we'll start taking a look at these classified figures. Here is the Crimson Guard himself. He comes with a sidearm. Now, I think he should have come with a shotgun like the original did. On the side there, it was molded on the original Crimson Guard. As you can see, comes with a sawed-off shotgun. Now, I wish they would have done the same, but a sidearm pistol is pretty cool. Plus, he comes with a sword, which is interesting. I'll slide that out so you can take a look at it. I like how they painted the handle black so that you can differentiate it from the silver plastic of the sword. And slide that right back. Now, what is interesting about this sheath is that it pops off, and naturally, this time I caught it. So, Joe Takes, I had to drop it. Now, this actually can pop on the side of the belt and snaps right into place. You got to give it a little force and put it in there, and it stays in pretty good. But then it can also go on the backpack so that he can store it that way too. And his gun, which actually, I'm going to take this off, has the bayonet and it's painted, which was really cool. A nice nod to the modern 25th anniversary figure. Now, what was really cool about this is naturally the magazine comes out and you have it without the magazine, which I thought was really cool. My new videos must be coming out for the day, getting a bunch of people saying how much they like them, and I appreciate that. Now, because I wanted to film this at midnight like I normally do for all the Joe Takes I used to anyway, until we switched to noon, and I just having fun here tonight, taking a look at all these figures. Now, see the backpack, there's a little peg there. I don't know if you can see it, but the rifle actually through the trigger hole, there's a trigger guard, snaps right on there and stores neatly on the backpack along with the sword, so he can carry all his accessories. And he does have a knife on his belt as well, and this knife is got the silver paint and it has a little nice little hook there. So pretty cool knife, very decent modern take on such a classic figure. I'm going to hold them up here side by side so you can take a look. Let's see if I can do this the same way. All right, I'm done. Okay. Take a look at the back. Now, the backpack on the original was red, and when it came with the Python Crimson Guard, they made it black. I thought that was a nice update on the modern figure. Side there. Now, the backpack also, if I remember right, opens up. It's got a little groove for it, if I remember right. I could be wrong, but I was pretty sure that it did, because it sure looks like it does. And I thought I had opened it up at one point, but I could be remembering it wrong. Let me take the backpack off the figure. Maybe that'll help. And it could just be molding effects, but I really thought that you could pop this backpack open, but I am wrong. You cannot. Well, that's life. I've been wrong before, and I'll probably be wrong again. That would have been cool. Maybe I imagined that I could open it, because it's a cool backpack, and that would have been a nice touch to be able to store the knife and whatever else you wanted in there, and the pistol, perhaps the sidearm. But that's pretty cool. I like this updated Crimson Guard figure for the Classified series, and I'm glad I get this opportunity to take a look at all these figures. I'm going to set him here, and we'll take a look at the Python version. All that's different is coloration, and it's nice to get this particular one. I do like the fact that they made the handle red on the sword and on the knife, and they still painted the bayonet, only they painted the stock red instead of the they did paint the bayonet, but just a slight gray. It looks really cool. Very nice, very subtle, and definitely not as bright of colors as the original Python Crimson Guard. I think this is a really cool update. I like this Python Crimson Guard. Very, very cool. All right. Now, we're going to take a look at Crimson Bat, which was the next one that came out right after the Crimson Guard. I showed off the Python Crimson Guard, who came out later, just to give you an idea of the comparison between the two. Now, Crimson Bat, it's just like the regular bat, but this is my favorite bat. And I did a Joe take on bats, so you can check that out. It was part of last year's Cobra Convergence and Operation Dungeon Siege, which was something I did for Cobra Convergence last year. That was my intro into Cobra Convergence last year, my extra bit. This year, it's file cards every day. So there you go. I think I might have put myself out quite a bit this year, but I do have all the videos done, at least for the Cobras. I'm still working on the Joes for next month, but I'll get her done. There's your Crimson Viper. It's a lot like, it's the same mold as the other Viper. And I do have a video for the Cobra Viper. Check that one out too. And the Cobra Viper is very nice in crimson. Yeah, I like the blue scarf too. That's a nice, nice touch. Reminds you of his Cobra, the Cobra Blue roots. Of course, we've got the Crimson Alley Viper. Very cool version of my favorite Viper. Now, the orange and blue looks really good, but this black and red Alley Viper, I have a modern 25th anniversary style Alley Viper in this color. They didn't call him the Crimson Alley Viper. He just came out that way. So I like the fact that they called him the Crimson Alley Viper. I love how the visor comes down and he has a heads-up display inside. And I don't know why anybody would ever display him that way when this looks so freaking cool. Maybe get a closer look. It looks like fangs. I think that's badass. And then the backpack has the crossbow and the crossbow gun and the grapple all hooked up on it. And the coolest part about the Alley Viper is naturally that shield. The shield is badass, and the way he grips it, you can turn it all the way around. You can spin this sucker so that he can use it as a weapon, however you want it. This thing is, once he's got a grip on it, which isn't easy to do sometimes, but once you get it all set up in there and he's got a grip on it, got a pretty cool shield. And he's got on the inside, naturally, he's got the heads-up display in there so that you can check out enemies from behind the shield and hide behind the shield and fire and still see the enemies. It's a really cool figure and a nice update to the original 1989 Alley Viper. Now that's going to take us to the Crimson Command team. And naturally, you've got Tomax and Zaymot. And I did a Tomax and Zaymot dedicated video, but I did not have these figures at the time. So I'm going to take a look at them here. They came with all the same accessories with one exception. They came with their own battle stands with their names on it, if I can do this right. So this is Crimson Strike Team Tomax and Crimson Strike Team Zaymot. If I got that right. Zaymot, Tomax. Yeah, I got it right. Okay, sweet. And naturally, the only difference between them, other than the armor on the shoulder and the way they have their accessories laid out on them, is the scar on Zaymot's face, which I have to say, the way they did the scar on this figure is really incredible. Much better than the original classified version anyway. Naturally, the Crimson Strike team came with a third figure and arguably the new leader of the Crimson Guard, because Baroness outranks them in the Cobra hierarchy. And there were several accessories for the Baroness that came with this. She was the definite star of the pack with her own battle stand with her name on it, which I think all the G.I. Joes should come with that, not just the retro line classified. she had another alternate head, but both heads have it so you can take the hairpiece off and switch out, I'm pretty sure, 3 different styles of hair. So, like Lady J and Zorana, you can take the hair pieces off and put a new hairpiece on. I really wish they would have just done head sculpts, new head sculpts. And for this Crimson Command strike team, which was rather pricey for 3 figures, a lot of people think, that's you got off cheap for 3 figures, but 3 figures, $25 each, which is what they were at the time. That should be $75. This was like an $80, $90 set, and they call it a deluxe set. And for the accessories it came with, I think they could have done a bit better, but I usually do for the price point. I think they should always give more if they're going to charge more, but they didn't. Baroness came with guns and extra knives and stuff, and the 2 golden pistols, and very nice looking figure. And I like to use this for other things because you can pop off this head and put a lot of other female figure heads on and turn them into Crimson Guardsmen, or Crimson Guards women, as it were. So that is my look at the classified figures and the vintage figures. We get these set out of the way so that I won't be knocking them down as I'm talking here, because I guess I'm Italian in some interests, if I can speak properly, in some instances. And I talk with my hands a lot, Now, I do have a little bit of Italian in me, but not much. I'm mostly Irish and German, but that's just life. I'm an American mutt, is what I like to say. But Joe, there's proof his nose is cold, right? So my look at the Crimson Guard is going to continue with the Sunbow cartoon. They were utilized extensively. They were in Revenge of Cobra, where they first appeared. They were only used as guards in Revenge of Cobra. In the TV series, once they went into the first season, Tomax and Xamot were used extensively, no pun intended, because they owned extensive enterprises. And the Crimson Guard, they were working as scientists undercover. They were undercover as anthropologists in the one with the dinosaurs. I mean, they really used the Crimson Guard to their fullest extent, really. I think they could have done more, but why? They had a blue dress Crimson Guards woman in a blue uniform, but it was a Crimson Guard uniform in Syntho Conspiracy, called Cadet Benny, who was conducting an interrogation and learning how to do that, and she just about lost her mind. It was pretty cool. She was interrogating Shipwreck. Let's say, let's put a trainee on Shipwreck. That's a wise move, right? But the Crimson Guard, I really enjoyed them in the cartoon. There was one instance in the cartoon where Destro had tried to get the super fertilizer, and he tried to convince Cobra Commander that it was more dangerous than any weapon that he could come up with, and he was like, bah, and he threw this bean out the window, and it grew massively. And so he went to gloat with Destro, and naturally that's when the beanstalk decided to grow up into the room and just start destroying the room and kill these 2 Crimson Guardsmen. I mean, you can say what you want, knocked out, whatever. But Cobra Commander actually stepped on one of them, and their head popped up. They were dead bodies, and it's a Sunbow cartoon. And we're supposed to suspend our disbelief and go, they're just knocked out. But that's not the way I saw it. Even as a teenager, I'm like, those dudes are dead. I had to point that out a lot in the cartoon, that those dudes were dead. But the Crimson Guard is one of the coolest things that they ever came out with for the Cobra organization. The Cobra, calling them the Cobra Elite Trooper, that was kind of, I don't know, a slap in the face to Cobra Troopers. But, there it is in a nutshell. Now, they had in the comics quite a few comics. Now, these came with, the ones I'm going to show you came with 3 packs of action figures. And this one came with a Crimson Guard where you could actually take his helmet off, and he had a Fred face underneath. Now, supposedly all the Crimson Guards had plastic surgery so that they all looked the same like this. which is pretty cool. I like how they got Hooded Cobra Commander right there in the middle, just surrounded by his Crimson Guard. And then, of course, naturally, I have the one that came with the Crimson Twins on the back there, too. And very cool cover. And it's nice that I actually have these back to back, because this was 32 and a half, and this one's 36 and a half. And written by Larry Hama, actually. So it was a nice addition to from the action figures to add to the original Marvel Comics run. Set that back over here. Crimson Guard. Now, Larry Hama in the comics didn't really use the Crimson Guard a lot. I mean, he started to. He even had one of them being a professor that helped them create Cobra Island, Professor Appel or Apple. And his daughter's name was Candy, so her name was technically Candy Apple, and she was dating Rip Ford. It was an interesting storyline in the late 30s, early, and throughout the 40s of the Marvel run of G.I. Joe. But they had other Crimson Guards, but for the most part, the Crimson Guard through the Civil War supposedly was on Serpentor's side, but Tomax and Xamot were actually working for the original Cobra Commander, and they were spying on Serpentor the whole time. And when he came back, they were loyal to Cobra Commander throughout the entire series, as far as I could tell. Now in the cartoon, they betrayed him several times, the Sunbow cartoon, but not in the comic book. The Crimson Guard was extremely loyal to Cobra Commander. It was nice to see that in the comic. I know the cartoon was meant to be entertaining and over the top and fun, but that's where it is. Now, that takes us to my headcanon and my Joe-verse. In my Joe-verse, the Crimson Guard is utilized the way they're supposed to be. They're undercover. They're trying to get into office. They're doing sneaky things. They're not used as frontline battlefield troopers. Now, they are used to guard Cobra Commander, and I do have that aspect of them. And I like the fact that they've introduced the Crimson Viper and the Crimson Alley Viper and the Crimson Bat. That's their shock troopers. Those are the frontline fighters that the Crimson Guard uses when they need to. Not the actual Crimson Guard itself, because the Crimson Guard, the whole purpose of them was for them to infiltrate places of power and in society and take over society. They were supposed to take over companies. They were supposed to take over the government. And they were just supposed to infiltrate and do everything that they could to conquer the United States and every other country in the world. It wasn't just the United States. But, naturally, G.I. Joe was focused in America, so that's what they focused on, which is why it was cool that they had, Action Force that became G.I. Joe in Great Britain and Australia and most of Europe. And then, they have G.I. Joe all over the world. They have Funko toys that do it in India. They have Russian versions of G.I. Joe. I'm not counting the October Guard. That was the Russian version of G.I. Joe in the regular G.I. Joe version, which was kind of cool. Joe, take for another day, maybe the October Guard, but the Crimson Guard with Tomax and Xamot at the helm, as far as I'm concerned, was a badass addition to Cobra. I enjoy collecting the Crimson Guard. I like the color red, and I like the way it stands out. Now, let me finish up by saying that the Crimson Guard, in my headcanon, they're there to protect Cobra Commander, and they're there to help Cobra Commander conquer the world, and they're extremely loyal to him. And so that's the way I would write them, and that's the way in my military action game that they're going to be portrayed, as I've started slowly introducing Cobra into that storyline, not just my deviants, which no one's sure whether they're aliens or they come from the center of the earth or an extra dimension. I've kind of left it a mystery, and it's kind of fun that way. And we've had 10 sessions as of today, when I filmed that earlier tonight, and we had a good time. It was a lot of fun, and a new player joined us, and we had a really, really great time. So please check out the military action game. Also, check out all the content creators that are making videos for Cobra Convergence 8. I hope this isn't the last one, but without our founder, I don't know if we're going to be able to hold it together. The 1 year that he couldn't do it, Cobra Convergence didn't happen. They tried, but it just didn't get together. So I don't know how things are going to work without him. I wish somebody would step up to take it over. I don't personally have the resources and the, let's just say, the connections with the rest of the G.I. Joe community that others have. I know a few of the G.I. Joe community, but for the most part, I'm more into the gaming aspect and the comics now. As a member of the Spinetics panel, I do a lot of comic book stuff now too. So check out Spinetics Live on Saturday nights. There should be a link to the description on that. And when this video actually premieres, it will premiere a few hours before Spinetics Live goes on. I unfortunately will not be on that episode because I'm going to be on vacation, but I will be back in a couple of weeks and be doing my regular shows and Spinetics Live. So please check us out. Okay, and on that note, I'm going to stop this video and I'm going to say Logan out, and I will play that other video for you that I'm going to add to this video. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Undercover espionage, secondary specialty accounting. The Crimson Guard, an elite shock troops of the Cobra Legions. All CGs must hold a degree in either law or accounting, as well as being in top physical condition. Final stages of training take place in the deepest recesses of Cobra headquarters, and is purported to involve an initiation too hideous for description. Crimson Guardsmen are too precious to be wasted on the conventional battlefield. They are dispersed about the country in deep cover, assuming normal appearances and lifestyles. Watch out, that friendly new neighbor of yours might just have a red uniform hanging in his closet. The Crimson Guard are elite shock troopers that report directly to Cobra Commander. They are tough and powerful fighters, challenging the G.I. Joe team in hand-to-hand combat, and unleashing their weapons with steel-eyed skill in a wild shootout. When serving with Viper Legions, Crimson Guardsmen are always called Crimson Guardsmen. Greed, ambition, and ruthlessness. Infantry, file name, various, birthplace, various, primary specialty, infantry, secondary specialty, various. Vipers are the backbone of the Cobra Legions. They are the bottom of the pyramid, which leads to the hierarchy of material wealth and power within the organization. When Cobra received word that G.I. Joe operations had been shut down by U.S. government, he promptly began recruiting more soldiers. Within weeks, the most cruel, greedy, backstabbing lot joined the ranks, tripling the original size of their ground forces. All Vipers are issued a combination assault rifle, grenade launcher, along with a 3-day field pack, multi-layered body armor, and wrap-around acrylic composite helmets with built-in radio telecommunications gear or standard issue. This equipment and a bad attitude makes them very dangerous. Arms Vipers are highly motivated and superbly trained. However, to make them follow orders, the punishment for failure is to be left on the battlefield when the battle android troopers are deployed. This is due to the fact these androids are programmed to shoot and incinerate anything that moves in front of them. That is the last thing any Viper would want. Better to take his chances with the real enemy vehicle specialty. Cobra Flight Pod, aka Trouble Bubbles. Ambition and ruthlessness. At G.I. Joe be warned, we have more weapons and more guts than you could ever hope to have. We attack like a crimson tide washing over the battlefield, leaving only destruction in our wake. If you want to get anywhere in Cobra, you have to start out as a Cobra Viper. That's the bottom of the pyramid. And serving in the Cobra infantry is a small price to pay to gain access to the glittering prizes at the top. Cobra doesn't reward success with parades and medals. They offer material wealth, power, and an outlet for the terrible urges that drive the greedy, envious, and the cruel. If that doesn't make a Cobra Viper a dangerous opponent, nothing does. Viper, Urban Assault Trooper, Birthplace, Various, Primary Specialty, Urban Assault Trooper, Secondary Specialty, Parasite Driver, Rage Driver.
The Alley Vipers are an elite contingent of ruthless marauders and true masters of brutality. Despite their destructive powers and feared reputations, Cobra was dissatisfied with them and recently outfitted this new breed of Alley Vipers that make the old ones look like nerdy wimps. Extensive physical and terrorist training programs are standard for these vicious Vipers. They are skilled villains and dangerously full of hate. You definitely don't want to invite one of these gorillas to dinner or anywhere else. The Alley Vipers are the Cobra equivalent of a police SWAT unit or British SS. They form the spearhead of Cobra's inner city invasion forces. This elite contingent of marauders are true masters of brutality, possessing a style of ruthlessness not present in other Cobra soldiers. Recruited from Cobra's most diabolical combat divisions, Alley Vipers use various forms of treachery to achieve their objectives. In order to graduate from their training program, they are required to survive a full burst of machine gun fire across their frontal body armor, execute a 30-foot jump onto concrete with full combat load, and run down a 100-meter gas-filled corridor without a gas mask. If you hear the roar of their rage tanks coming down your street, lock all your doors and hope they are passing by. If you hear knocking at your front door, don't expect it to be the pizza guy. Alley Vipers are big and strong as well as ruthless. Their body armor alone weighs 50 pounds, and they carry at least 30 pounds of weapons.
Cobra battle android trooper. Primary specialty infantry. Secondary specialty support. These android troopers are the perfect Cobra infantry forces. They never question orders, complain about the food, shirk duty, or surrender. They require no leave time, sick pay, or benefits, and they're easy to replace. Hit them with multiple rounds of weapons fire, and they'll keep advancing on their targets without missing a beat. But they can't evaluate changes in battlefield conditions or make independent decisions. So if the fight shifts and they don't receive updated orders, they're liable to fire apart anything that moves, be it friend or foe. Still give them an order, and they carry it too, stopping only when every single component has been separated into such tiny pieces that not even one robotic finger is able to continue the attack. That's a totally artificial robot troopers with extremely primitive logic circuits and very sophisticated targeting sensors. They can absorb enormous amounts of battle damage and still continue their missions as long as their trigger finger circuits are intact. Bats are usually deployed from low-flying aircraft without use of parachutes. This delivery system is normally quite demoralizing to opposing troops who happen to witness it. The new bats, although upgraded in weapon systems, have been severely downgraded in logic and memory components, which have been deemed unnecessary for what is now a machine gun with legs. The right arm can be replaced with a modular missile launcher capable of firing a wide assortment of ordnance. The basic model has 3 forward gears, no reverse option, and can be recharged from an ordinary household electrical outlet. Now the bats have come to town. G.I. Joe is going down! They're essentially walking machine guns, but they can do a whole lot of damage before you hit them with enough firepower to blow them into a pile of circuits.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry, Cobra. Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry, Cobra.
Codename Overlord Crimson Guard Commander. File name Mikhail Durango. Birthplace unknown. Primary specialty elite infantry. Secondary specialty fast attack armored vehicle driver. Overlord was suspected of being a former Crimson Guard member. Regardless, he actually managed to take control of Cobra while Cobra Commander was imprisoned. He advocated traditional Cobra values, but this was just to mask his own personal grab for power. Overlord is responsible for the near death of Chuckles, murdering him on the beach of Cobra Island moments later. Skidmark and Duke move in to arrest Overlord, but a helicopter crashes between them, wounding Skidmark and allowing Overlord to escape like Lifeline managed to save both Joes before they actually met their ultimate demise. He later went to work for the Jugglers, who send him to Duke's secret base in Iceland. Very mortally wounds a tech support Joe codenamed Scanner and locks Duke, Scarlet, and Snake Eyes. A false scanner uses the last of his strength to activate the base's self-destruct, supposedly killing himself. Overlord Scanner's body was recovered, but Overlord's was not.
Crimson Guard Commanders. File name unknown. Birthplace an island in the Mediterranean. Primary specialty infiltration, espionage. Secondary specialty sabotage, propaganda, corporate law. Spell the name Tomax in capitals and hold it up to a mirror. skills in the bush wars of Africa and South America. They were too smart to be soldiers forever, went to Zurich and became bankers. They quickly found the ins and outs of international finance to be too haphazard for their tastes. They preferred a situation that could control. Cobra was willing to give them access to that control. Now they command legions, but their legions wear three-piece suits and fight their battles in executive boardrooms. These men are the most fearsome of the Cobra adversaries. They don't fight with steel and claw, back with muscle and honest sweat. They chase you with paper, round you with your own laws, and kill you with the money you loaned them. They quickly found the ins and outs of international finance to be too haphazard for their tastes. They preferred a situation that could control. Cobra was willing to give them access to that control. Now they command legions, but their legions wear three-piece suits and fight their battles in executive boardrooms. These men are the most fearsome of the Cobra adversaries. They don't fight with steel and claw, back with muscle and honest sweat. They chase you with paper, round you with your own laws, and kill you with the money you loaned them. In capable hands, the briefcase can be as effective as a blade. We remain unimpressed.
Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry, Cobra. Crashing through the sky comes a fearful cry, Cobra.
Codename. Cobra Intelligence Officer. File name: Anastasia Decabre. Birthplace: classified. Primary specialty: intelligence. Secondary specialty: fixed wing pilot, qualified expert, M16, AK-47, RPG-7, Uzi, stick operator. The Baroness was the spoiled offspring of European aristocratic parents who made sure that she and her brother Eugen had the best of everything in life. During the time of the Southeast Asian conflict, Eugen had abandoned his aristocratic lifestyle. Using his power and influence, he delivered medical supplies and other needed items into the war-torn region. On one tragic occasion, Eugen's sister Anastasia accompanied him on what would result in a deal gone bad. Eugen was fatally wounded. Just another soldier burst in and apprehended the saboteurs. Anastasia, who had been in another room, believed that the soldier had destroyed both her brother and his supposedly peaceful contacts. The Baroness was now set on a course of revenge that would lead her into a life of student radicalism, into international terrorism. The Baroness is a highly intelligent and ambitious individual that led her to the ranks of Cobra, rising to its top intelligence. Aged, she was severely burned during a Cobra 9 attack operation and has had extensive plastic surgery. Her relationship with Distro calls into question her true loyalties to the commander, as she is always one to link her destiny to the strongest individual in an organization. Whoever will give her the means to achieve her goals. Rumor has it that she is the only one who knows Destro's secret identity. My God. The Baroness is probably the most dangerous agent within Cobra. She is ultimately loyal only to herself and serves Cobra only because it is in her best interest to do so. She has an unrelenting hatred towards established governments that she believes are ruled by military machines. Since G.I. Joe is the best in the military world, she despises the Joes most of all. Her principal weakness is in the division of her loyalty between Cobra Commander and Destro. Her companion, her chief strength, would seem to lie in her ability to play them against each other. I despise the G.I. Joe team. Who do they think they are? Why do they think they're so special? And they dress so badly. The G.I. Joe team